DMase, Vingan and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Thursday, a sweltering day in Nashville, Tennessee. All of us were out at Titans practice. I definitely needed a shower. Derek Mason claims he showered.
I showered today.
Willie, did you shower?
No comment.
Connor, did you shower?
No, buddy, I got here.
That's right. Connor doesn't get a break. Connor just gets to come right back here and work, and that's why we love him so. But I feel much better after, again, stewing in my own juices out at Titans training camp. And we will, of course, discuss what we saw today at Titans training camp. Drew Beatty of paulkaharski.com will join the program at 4. Drew specializes in film study. So we're going to have Drew on the program to help us break down what he is seeing from the Tennessee Titans under Brian Daboll, because he did a lot of research, a lot of film study on Brian Daboll's offensive system. We will have Drew on the program at 4. He'll help us break it all down. You probably heard it from Chase McCabe at the end of Chase and Big Joe, but after practice, the 4 of us had the opportunity to chat with rookie wide receiver Carnell Tate. You will hear that interview at 5 o'clock. Definitely some Michigan hating happening in that interview with the Buckeye and the Spartan. But let's keep it in the Big Ten quickly to start today's show. We just discovered this right as we sat down.
Wow.
Willie has not heard this, so this will be a treat for
Yes.
Willie.
Okay.
Purdue recently hired a new athletic director, Tommy McClelland, who, by the way, did recently work at Vanderbilt as deputy athletic director.
Ooh.
So today, Tommy McClelland held his introductory news conference. And you know, you want to win the news conference, right? You want to have that punchy, memorable one-liner that gets all over the newspaper, all over the local news. Let's all, for a moment, listen to Tommy McClelland's attempt at delivering that one-liner.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Timeout. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana. What happened this past football season,
Yes,
Tommy McClelland? Who won the national championship?
Oh my goodness.
That one I don't think hit. I don't think that hit.
Can we play it again? Connor, do you have it? Can we play it again? I want to
Every
hear this one more
recruit,
time.
Every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Sure thing, boss. We'll be there.
Hold on. What I'm trying to figure out is that couldn't have been in the original message he was going to give to, those that couldn't have been the original message, because say that back to yourself.
Right before football.
Yes. Yeah, you got to say it slow. Go to Indiana. Huh? Excuse me, sir. Didn't Indiana just win a championship?
He's talking about Earth 431, Indiana, not
Oh
Earth
my
616, where we are.
Is he talking about Indiana State?
I thought he might be talking about IUPUI.
He could be.
Indiana Wesleyan.
Good grief.
That man actually said, and he spent time at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
If you don't want to win championships,
Wow.
go to Indiana.
Gosh, Willie, what is his
I
problem?
don't know. Maybe it's better that he's moved on from West End.
Does he live up to the moniker of Vanderbilt, as you said?
Not
No.
saying something like that.
If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana, where the Hoosiers just won.
What do you think the
National
national was in the
championship.
room if you were sitting there when he said that? He must have gotten some strange looks. Even like the people that just hired him, do you
Uh-huh.
think they sat there and go, wait a minute, what did we just do? Who did we just hire? What did he just say?
I can imagine
man.
him getting the script back, right? I need something memorable here. I need a joke. I need something that's going to
Yeah.
land. Let me
Some levity.
Yeah, that had to be.
Let me just embolden, our
Let's
alumni.
embrace it.
Take a little cheap shot at Indiana, our rival. What can I do? Not that. Don't my reply was not that. There's a lot of things you could do to jab Indiana and get light a little fire under your fan base.
He
but not
couldn't have
that.
had a speechwriter. He couldn't have had a speechwriter.
He didn't need a speechwriter. Like an
Yes,
eighth grader could have. An eighth grader could have helped
needed
you out.
one, Willie.
He did.
He put that line in there.
Golly.
God.
I'm sure somebody was taking notes. Like, okay, we got to work with this guy on media.
I'm reminded of when I'm reminded of when I was a young
man.
journalism student in high school, and I would turn in copy, and then my journalism teacher, Mrs. Buchanan, would give me back the copy, and if it had red all over it, that was bad.
Right.
I have to imagine if this gentleman, Tommy McClelland, the new AD at Purdue, did the same thing and someone gave it back to him, big red circle over that line. WTF.
I guarantee you somebody said, you think you need to go check McClellan's speech? And the other person was like, no, he went to
we're good.
Vanderbilt.
We're
Yeah,
good.
he good. He went to
He's all
Vanderbilt. He spent time at Vanderbilt. He's good.
He should know.
Yeah, he should know.
He'll be fine.
And then he gets up and the dude turns to him like, so why did he think that would be some type of
man.
what did the kids call it, a burn?
Right.
Roast.
A roast? Why did he think that would be like burn? Ooh, we got Indiana.
One texter wants to know, what years was this guy on Vandy's staff? According to his bio at vucommodores.com, which is still active, he joined Vanderbilt in 2020 after a landmark term as AD at Louisiana Tech. Deputy athletic director at Vanderbilt.
He didn't. I don't believe he went to Vanderbilt. He just stopped along the way the last few years. So he was there for some good things. The big turnaround, right, from 2020 until now. We know how much Vanderbilt has turned around. So he's got that going for him. He may need it to keep that resume.
Hair Metal Henry says, that news conference reminds me of the time Psycho Sid tried to insult Kevin Nash by saying, I have half the brain that you do.
Or Kurt Angle going after Rey Mysterio of things I can't say on the air.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, but just a little laugh to start today's program. Keeping
that
it in
was
the
funny.
Big Ten.
You want to win championships?
Come on, Big Ten. Why are we doing that? We're doing it to ourselves, man. Like, gosh.
Things are going so well for you in the Big
Exactly.
Ten.
Did you say something like this?
Things were going so well.
God, leave the sort of outlandish things to Lane Kiffin, okay? Leave those things to the SEC and Lane Kiffin.
A great day for us SEC snobs, Willie.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like, gosh, man made the Big Ten look bad.
Well, the good news is,
Don't
Derek,
you? Yeah.
the good news is you make the Big Ten look good every day,
Oh, well, thank you.
as
Adam.
does Carnell
Oh,
Tate,
man.
who will join us at 5 o'clock. We were out at practice today. It was sort of on the sleepy side. Certainly no fireworks like the kind we saw on Tuesday. No fights with Jeffrey Simmons throwing a punch. No long bombs from Cam Ward to Carnell Tate. Most of the news coming out of practice today, Dan Moore Jr. did return to practice, so he left practice early the other day. No cause for concern. He was back out there today. Alec Iamaner did not finish practice today. He suffered a shoulder injury. Robert Salas said the injury, or the shoulder, quote unquote, feels stable, but he did not have more information at this time. Anything you guys noted at practice other than the injury updates?
I thought Cam did a really good job in practice today. He had several throws that he allowed the receiver to go up to make a play. One was to Alec. Even the one that Alec ended up getting injured on, he dropped a dime right in the bread basket. Winston Jr. just came over as like a bang, bang play. And then he hit Carnell Tate on one. So he had a pretty good day, I thought. It started off kind of slow in warm-ups, against Air, but it was like they picked it up after that. So you saw Elliott continue to make plays. I hope he comes back fully healthy for the next practice, but he is really separating himself from, guys within that group that are fighting for more playing time in that 3-4 or 4-5 group. He's really making a name for himself. And then honestly, I think he's really pushing really both Calvin and Carnell Tate to come out each and every day and have good practices, because he's putting together, albeit as a short camp, we just started, but he's putting together some really good days. So I hope he's able to come back tomorrow and practice.
I noticed they actually, I don't know if it was by just total coincidence or maybe they were listening to our show yesterday, but we had a conversation about the tight ends and where do the tight ends fit in this offense. I thought today they actually did some things and threw the ball more to the tight ends in practice than I had seen so far. So they do exist. They do go out for passes. There were a lot of short ones. They worked in the red zone quite a bit today. But I think we continue to be curious on how you get everybody in the right seat on the bus for how the ball is going to get distributed. They're running a lot of shotgun stuff. They were one of the highest percentage of teams in the shotgun last year. And with the new offense, I'm curious if that fluctuates much. So far from what we've seen in practice, it's a lot of shotgun. So I think they're putting a lot on Cam to be able to spread the ball around. And I think we all want to see who's the go-to guy. How many targets is Tate going to get? Wan'Dale Robinson's been targeted 140 times each of the last 2 years. So where does that leave the tight ends? Where does that leave Calvin Ridley? All of these are questions. And I thought they worked the tight ends a little bit more today.
There's another sort of, I think, thing brewing here. And the reason I say this is because of what Saleh said at the beginning of camp. He said it's this battle for backup quarterback. And I don't see it whatsoever. And I think Will Levis hasn't done anything to make, at least from my opinion, to make this franchise say, we need to keep him. He's gotten opportunities and he just doesn't, again, the Will Levis experience. It's you throw a good one, you get a good dime on the play, and then you come back and you do 2 or 3 things that you just like, come on. And that's been, him even in camp. It's been him first couple of years in his career, and it's been this way in camp where he's been up and down. And I just don't think he's helping himself with that, what Saleh calls a competition, because right now it's not a competition.
Levis is clearly behind Mitch Trubisky.
Yes.
Mitch Trubisky is out there with the 2s. Will Levis is out there with the 3s. And we talked about this at the beginning of the week. Part of me admires Will Levis's confidence to address reporters here for the first time in more than a year and say, there aren't 32 quarterbacks in the NFL better than me. You're the 3rd best quarterback on your own team. And Mitch Trubisky, again, I'm no quarterback expert. I haven't been wowed by Mitch Trubisky during the practices I've attended. So sometimes your mouth writes a check, your ass can't cash. And I feel like Will Levis stepped in it earlier this week when he said that. I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to portray confidence. I've been through a lot. I feel like I'm better now. I can still contribute. But it just, speaking of things not landing, like the Purdue AD's quip there, I just felt like it didn't land the right way. And I was hoping to see more from Levis in practice to back that up. And again, not a quarterback expert. Haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, he has the talent, definitely has the talent. I don't think anyone can argue that. It's just, you got to have more than just the talent. If you're talking about being a starting quarterback in this league consistently, you got to have more than just talent. You have to be able to lead a team. You have to be able to think under pressure, make key assessments under pressure, know where everybody is under pressure, and Will just hadn't proven that consistently. And listen, you can say Cam hadn't proven it much, but listen, Cam and Malik, not Malik, but Levis, they're not in the same situation. So Levis is fighting an uphill battle. Cam, they're helping him along the way. And they expect him to be at a place where he can lead this team. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the whole Will Levis thing. But I do hope he gets some good stuff put on film, because he's right. He is a talent. And you just want to be able to not release him, but trade him somewhere.
I think he has to look more long term,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs to think of Mac Jones and Sam Darnold and some of the other success stories of guys who figured it out later in their career. It's not a huge list, but there are plenty of good examples if you just stay with it and you love the game.
Mm-hmm.
What's hard for him right now is he's working with the threes. And so especially with the threes on the offensive line, there are a lot of plays. I noticed a few times today where, they're not able to really run the play.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times where it's like, that's a sack. The D line's hooting and hollering, we got him. That's a sack. They don't have the horn or whatever, but you just kind of know sometimes. So the timing's not great. So even if he's saying, I'm too good for these number threes privately, it's hard for him to look good when he's in that atmosphere. It's got to be a little bit discouraging, right? But you want to have a good attitude about it. And so it continues to be something that the shoe's going to drop somewhere. What do they do? When is going to be resolved? I'm sure all parties right now, it's just the feel that you get. It's like, we got to do something with this guy.
615-737-1025. By the way, Matthew from Jolton, who I believe is a big Michigan fan, says, we don't claim Purdue. Are we disowning Purdue from the Big Ten, Derek Mason? Are we disowning Purdue?
After saying something like that, yeah, we disowning them.
All right. Purdue's got to find a new conference. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Titans fans yesterday needlessly freaked out about something, and it reminds me of the aspects of my job as a reporter that drive me nuts more than anything else. We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025 today. The Nashville Sounds take on the Memphis Redbirds. First pitch is at 6:45. Catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. Derek Mason DJing today's program.
This is Decades Club Hits.
Decades Club Hits.
Yeah, 2010. This was a club hit.
LMFAO.
Yeah, ain't
Party
like I
Rock
went to
Anthem.
many clubs though, but I can tell you this was a hit.
This was the #1 song.
Uh-huh.
One
I could just imagine this being a hit in the club.
One texter says they don't claim Purdue, but the Big Ten doesn't mind that easy win. I wanted to see what the line on the game between
Boy.
Indiana and Purdue this season was, but it doesn't happen until like after Thanksgiving.
Well, what was it last year?
If you give me a minute, I'll look it
Man.
up. But that's not a great look for old Tommy McClelland.
I could just imagine Signetti hearing that. It's just laughing.
Just bursting out laughing.
Exactly.
It's not even bulletin board
I
material.
can
Exactly.
see
Funny.
I can see Signetti going, I want to use this as bulletin board material, but I think that would be cruel. So I'm just
Would
gonna.
my guys start laughing?
Exactly. Oh man.
So hold on. I do have a gripe that
Okay.
has to do with something that Tennessee Titans fans needlessly freaked out about yesterday. So as a journalist, the one thing, there are many things, but one thing that drives me absolutely insane is when people react to headlines of stories or social media posts teasing stories without actually reading the story.
What do you mean? Who reads the
Oh,
story?
who
Who
actually
reads
does
an
that?
article?
Who does that?
Nobody reads
Exactly.
anymore.
There are so many times where I have posted a story and someone just looks at the headline or looks at the little teaser on X and goes, I'm like, did you actually read the story?
Do they sound like that?
That's what it sounds like in my head. Like an angry old dog or something like that. That's what it sounds like in my head. It's just like, guys, reading comprehension. Click stories, read stories. We had a similar situation yesterday. Kay Adams was at Baltimore Ravens training camp, and she sat down with Derrick Henry. And she posted a roughly, well, I know exactly because I'm looking at it right now, 59-second clip of her conversation with Derrick Henry. And her post teasing the clip said this, quote, "One day, Derrick Henry will retire. He told me he wants to retire as a Raven." 3 purple heart emojis, 3 black heart emojis. And Titans fans freaked out. How dare Derrick Henry want to retire as a Baltimore Raven? Blah, 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 blah. We're going to play the clip because I think most of you out there who did freak out did not actually listen to the clip. So Connor, play the part of the clip that we need to hear.
I look out here and I'm seeing these beautiful trees and this like lodge atmosphere. It looks like a nice place to retire. Looks like a nice place when you are ready to end.
What other place would it be better to retire than a castle?
I just want to hear that this is where you like saw. You came and you saw this place and you go, this is where I see myself for the rest.
So when I'm done playing, I want it to be done playing here. So when I hang it up,
Yeah.
Baltimore will be last place I want to be.
You got to get a ring first. You got to accept a
Get a
compliment
ring.
first because the Canton's not going to the Canton's going to knock on this man's door and he's not going to answer. He's going to be like, nah, don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. Like we got to work on that. Those are reps you can do with me.
That's what I'm saying. I got to keep working. What you told me.
You're really like a terrible running back.
All right,
Bottom
we
tier.
can cut it there. I'm going to ignore Kay Adams referring to the Football Hall of Fame as the Canton. Did you notice that? The Canton?
I don't know. I that was not her best interview. She's pretty good, but
We're-
that was not a good interview.
We're going to ignore that. But you heard the beginning of the clip. Derrick Henry saying, when I'm done playing, let me rephrase. The clip basically said, Derrick, I'm not going to sign anywhere else. I'm going to finish my career in Baltimore, and that's going to be the end of it. There is a difference between retiring as a member of the Baltimore Ravens, like when your contract is up, and retiring as a Baltimore Raven, like when people think about me entering the Football Hall of Fame, I'm going to be a Baltimore Raven. So it's just a reminder, guys, you need to listen. You need to read before you freak out about posts on X. That's all I'm saying. Even Derrick Henry said on X, quote, I would like to finish my playing career with Ravens. I never said anything about retiring, LOL. I'm enjoying being a Raven. I'll worry about that retirement bleep later. But again, it was just an example of people reacting to something without actually taking the 30 seconds to read or listen to what was actually said.
Well, so there's a lot of things that happen from time to time. You mentioned a lot. It goes back even before social media. There's a famous rant by Sparky Anderson of him referring to a headline, and he went after the writers. And Adam, you've been berated by many coaches in some form or fashion, I'm sure. But man, Sparky Anderson, he went into this profanity-laced tirade about the headline, and this is BS. And I like to be good with the writers, and if they're going to turn around and do that to me, screw all those guys. It was just this long rant. But they were like, Sparky, the writer doesn't do the headline. It's not you're going after the wrong guy, So there's a lot that's happening here. Like if the headline's wrong, whoever put the post together, and even within the interview, like I think Kay Adams is a great interviewer. She gets a lot of people to feel real comfortable and has really good conversations. But on that particular one, she's like leading him down this. Just tell me this is where you want to like putting words in his mouth almost. Leading him down the path. And like you said, Adam, that's a much different question, a much different line of questioning than, hey, when you retire, you've done really good things for the Titans and really good things for the Ravens. Have you thought about which one you want to retire for? That's a completely different thing than they were talking about.
Well, she couldn't add in the Titan aspect of it because he's still playing for Baltimore Ravens. But the headline did make it seem as if he's saying, oh, I only want to retire a Raven. He's actually thinking about retirement. He said, I'm not even thinking about retirement. And guys, typically, you want to stay with the team that you're last with, especially if they're winning. You don't want to have to go from that team to another team to another team. Derrick Henry seems like the guy that, he likes it where he's at. He feels they can win, and he's going to give them everything that he has. And if that means, in the process, he retires, and not want to play anymore, then yes, he's right. I want to retire, having worn a Ravens uniform, not necessarily retiring a Raven.
Because people who did freak out looked at that. He wants to retire as a Raven and immediately leave to, after all he did for the Tennessee Titans, he wants to be remembered as a Baltimore Raven at the end of his career. I know that Titans fans have a complex about the Baltimore Ravens. I'm sitting next to a gentleman who has, he's contributed to that complex. Other
on both sides.
But here's the thing. If he wins the championship, people are just going to forget more about his Titan career because they did that to Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk started with the Indianapolis Colts, but don't nobody really and he was a beast with the Indianapolis Colts, but nobody really look at Marshall Faulk in a Colts uniform. They look at him as a Ram. Why? Because he won a championship with the Rams. Now, if he wins the championship with the Baltimore Ravens, that's how people will ultimately look at Derrick Henry. Is he won a Super Bowl as a Baltimore Raven, and they will slowly start to forget about his greatest years when you're talking about playing. His peak years were with the Titans. Well, at least that's the way it seemed, but it seemed like he got another peak that he's running on. So
it's a good question. Like, how much more does Derrick Henry need to do in Baltimore?
He's the first ballot.
Yes.
He's the first ballot.
But to be remembered primarily for his time with the Ravens versus his time with the Tennessee Titans. If he win, I agree with you, Derek. If Derrick Henry wins the Super Bowl as a member of the Ravens, you can close that case. He's going to be remembered as a member of the Baltimore Ravens because presumably he was a big part of the Ravens winning the Super Bowl. But I do wonder, Willie, like, what would he have to do over the rest of his career in Baltimore for people to associate him more with Baltimore than Tennessee?
Some of that's going to come down to who are you asking? Asking people around here and asking people around Baltimore would be two completely different answers. I would say, though, I would say 2 more seasons of high-end productivity with successful teams, I think it becomes pretty debatable. I think right now it's still the best of his stuff. The number one headline on his Hall of Fame case is 2,000-yard season. That was with the Titans. Now, he's had some great years for the Ravens, but I think the key is the postseason success. I think that's what tips things faster than anything.
Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in Trey. Trey, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Trey.
Hey,
It's been
Trey.
a minute.
I know. I miss y'all. How y'all been? Good?
We're good.
Doing
Thanks
good.
for calling.
Hey, Derek,
Yes.
I've been looking for you.
What I do, Trey?
Will Levis will not be on this team, Trey. Bye, Trey. I remember all of that. I love you guys. Hey, I just wanted to say, the thing that I remember Derrick Henry 2,000-yard season. But I'ma just be honest with you today. What I remember about Derrick Henry is him fumbling the football in crucial games at crucial moments for the Tennessee Titans and for the Baltimore Ravens. I remember him fumbling the ball, tapping on his chest, going back to the bench with his head down when his team is trying to win a football game. That's what I remember for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is exactly where he needs to be. Exactly where he needs to be. All right. I think he can get into the Hall of Fame, but they're going to have to win a championship in Baltimore for him to be considered, I think. But his overall record is pretty good, but I'm just mad because he always fumbled the ball in crucial situations when the team is trying to win a championship or a division. You can bank on Derrick fumbling the ball. And I love you guys.
Thank you, Trey.
I've been looking for you, Derrick.
Thank you, Trey. Always a pleasure.
I don't know. I mean, Derrick Henry has
That's not
fumbled,
what I think
but
about. He's had
that's
some
not.
fumbles,
Yeah,
he had a
that's
couple
not-
last year that
were
in big
costly.
games.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's not how I sum up Derrick Henry's career thus far. I sum up his career thus far as one of the top 5 greatest backs ever up to this point. So yes, him winning, if he does win a championship, I think that enhances everything. And I think that changes sort of how people view Derrick on, his years here in Nashville and his years in Baltimore. I think they'll lean more when you go to a Super Bowl and win one, especially a player of his caliber. You tend to lean toward those years he was with that team, unless it was just like a year.
Right now, it's 8 of his 10 years that we're with the Titans. But here's another thing to consider. Because I think I would be the first to admit, I didn't think he would hit the heights that he has hit in his 2 years with the Ravens. He's had 2 really good years for them, 1,900 yards the first year. Last year wasn't quite as good. The team wasn't quite as good. But he's now gotten to within 5,200 yards of Emmitt Smith for number 1 of all time. So even if he falls short of that, if he has another 2 good years, he's going to get into that top 5-ish. He's going to be right in there. And 3 more good years, it's going to be very close. He's got a legit shot only because he's been so durable.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he stays out there, that's how you do it, right? Just keep going out there.
Yeah.
Frank Gore played forever. That's how, he was never great in any one
But
year.
he played a
Anywhere
long
close.
time. Yeah.
But Derrick Henry might have that great combination of an Emmitt Smith or a Walter Payton. Workhorse guy, best in the field and the longevity.
Mhm.
That's the thing that's hard to match.
615-737-1025.
But my point is, if he breaks the record with the Ravens,
Mhm.
then that's a game changer.
I beseech you, please actually read or listen to things before freaking out. Thank you.
What do you want me to do? Read?
Save
Who
yourself
reads?
the
Nerds.
stress. Just imagine.
We don't read anything.
Well, I
Who
mean,
does that anymore? No one reads. Read.
I am concerned for the youth of our nation because of AI.
We
Y'all
don't
don't write
read.
your own papers anymore.
We don't read.
Y'all don't actually read textbooks anymore. But I beseech you again, ding, I implore you, I beg you, please actually read or listen to things before freaking out. If you had just clicked on the video from Kay Adams and not just reacted to how she teased it on X, you would have saved yourself a lot of stress. That's all I'm saying.
Don't judge my kind like that.
I am judging your kind because I'm afraid you guys aren't going to be able to read or write because of ChatGPT.
I turned out okay.
So far. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Derrick Henry's comments to Kay Adams at Baltimore Ravens training camp. Coming up next, we'll hit a few odds and ends around the NFL. A division rival gets a huge contract, plus one of Cam Ward's contemporaries doing some weird stuff. We'll discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. In response to my call for all of you to actually read, Rick says, when you have propaganda journalists like Joe Rexroad, no one is going to take the time to read that mess. Journalism is dead in America. Y'all just write what pays the most. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Therefore, I don't read. There's nothing worth reading,
Exactly.
so I'm not going to read.
Anything.
What did Joe do?
Take a
Yeah,
look.
what did Joe do?
I don't know. What did Joe not do?
Exactly, I guess.
Take a
This
look
is
at
true.
take a look inside a book. Remember Reading Rainbow? Take a look inside a book. It's Reading Rainbow. I think that's it, right?
Yep.
You hit it right
Yep.
on the nose.
Nice. Was that LeVar Burton?
It was.
Yes,
Nice.
it was. Absolutely.
Oh
So
man.
because of that, I am not opening up another book or reading another paper or anything.
Reading is fundamental, okay? That's all I'm
You
saying.
have to read.
That's all I'm saying. Earlier today, one of the Tennessee Titans division rivals, the Indianapolis Colts, re-signed Jonathan Taylor. 2 years, $44 million, a maximum value of $47 million, $39 million guaranteed, the third largest deal for a running back in NFL history, according to ESPN. And I'm wondering, are running backs starting to matter again?
Oh,
Because
yes.
earlier this week, Bijan Robinson signed a big deal with the Atlanta Falcons. It's expected that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to sign a big deal soon with the Detroit Lions. I'm wondering if the pendulum is swinging back to running backs mattering again after the deal for Jonathan Taylor.
But
earlier
it's not
today.
just, I don't think it's just running backs in general. I think now when you have that guy that can be both a runner and a pass catcher that can be dynamic. Like there's some good running backs in this league, but then there are the dynamic ones, and especially when they're young. Yeah, you better try to sign them to a huge deal while they're young, because after that, their productivity tends to go down. So I think you're going to, not every running back is going to break the bank like this. Now it may cause them to get paid a little bit more, but only the dynamic ones is going to get the money that, these guys are getting, whether it be Bijan or Taylor or eventually Jahmyr Gibbs. But a little bit of it started with Christian McCaffrey because of, him being a dynamic player. And once they trade him to San Francisco can give him that huge contract.
Jonathan Taylor, by the way, 76 scrimmage touchdowns since entering the NFL in 2020, behind only the subject of our previous segment, Derrick Henry.
Huh?
I completely forgot what I was about to say. Oh, yes. Now I remember. Before I forget again. Sorry to interrupt, Willie. The Colts have had a big spending offseason. Daniel Jones signed a big contract. Alec Pierce signed a big contract. They traded Michael Pittman, but Jones got paid. Pierce got paid. Jonathan Taylor now has gotten paid. And yet, when I'm looking at all of these projections for the Indianapolis Colts, I have now seen, I believe, 2, Sports Illustrated and USA Today, that predict the Colts to finish behind the Titans in the AFC South.
I was just thinking about Taylor in the Colts, but basically, if you take a look at Taylor year by year, if he's on the field, he produces. Like he averages almost 5 yards a carry for his career. He just had a couple of years in there, and part of it was a contract thing, right? And he got hurt within that, and it kind of short-circuited 2 of his prime years, 2022 and 2023, where he was limited to 18 games combined. But he said, like you said, Adam, he said 2 years where he's led the league in touchdowns. He said 18 touchdowns, 2 different seasons. He's still just coming off his age 26 season, so he is now 27, which is usually a safe bet to have another couple years before you start to see the decline, even for normal people. We're excluding Derrick Henry because he's not normal. But Taylor would seem to still have a lot of good football in him if there's nothing free. So I think I wonder how the Colts feel about their team, because they were so good in the first 8 to 10 weeks last year, and then it's like everybody forgot that they were good.
Yeah, they lost the quarterback and started having more injuries, and that team just never could, get back what they had in the first part of the season.
They
And
had
it
to
was
call
evident.
Phillip Rivers out of
Yeah.
retirement to
Oh,
play
exactly.
quarterback for a
That was
minute.
fun.
And
That was fun.
it was fun to watch.
From here.
you know.
Probably not there.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
from here,
They had no choice. They had nothing.
But Indianapolis, I think, they have players here and there, but from top to bottom, how strong is their roster, and how will Daniel Jones come back? Will he, pick up where he left off, or, are those days of him playing good quarterback, are those days gone now? Will he start to regress even more as a player? And then a lot hinges on him because, again, we saw what they were before he got injured, and we saw what they were after he was no longer available underneath center.
USA Today released its NFL record projections for this season yesterday. Actually, I apologize, but I saw it today, so it was new to me. The AFC South: Texans 12-5, Jags 9-8, Titans 6-11. So that's 2 6-11s now. Colts 5-12. So despite all of these big signings the Colts have made this offseason, it appears that the prognosticators don't have a lot of faith in the Indianapolis Colts. Elsewhere in the NFL, we know that as we're watching Cam Ward, there are going to be a couple of quarterbacks throughout the season he is going to be compared to most. One of those quarterbacks is Jackson Dart of the New York Giants. And the other day at Giants training camp practice, after rushing for a touchdown, Dart tossed the ball at the helmet of the closest defender, cornerback Greg Newsome. The ball hit Newsome in the helmet before ricocheting to the ground, all of which prompted several defensive players to jump in and have words with Dart as he walked back to the huddle. And look, Cam Ward, I remember last year got into a shoving match with Jeffrey Simmons because he did his Zombieland taunt, whatever, after the offense scored on the defense. But to me, people have criticisms of Cam Ward, and a lot of them are valid. But I think the one thing you can't criticize Cam Ward for is his maturity level. And I wonder about that with Jackson Dart. I'm not sure Jackson Dart is on the same maturity level as Cam Ward. And in New York, that means something. There's that harsh spotlight, as Robert Saleh and Brian Dable, and we'll talk about Robert Saleh in a little bit, they know that full well. So to see that with Dart, I feel like Dart kind of steps in it every now and then. I'm not worried about that with Cam Ward. There are other things about Cam Ward that I have concerns about. That is not one of them.
Well, I mean, in John Harbaugh talked about it and ended up, it was a 15-yard penalty. So you went from an extra point right at whatever it is to now you got to kick a 40, 50-yard field goal. And that can be the difference between winning or losing. So you like the sort of fire and bravado that quarterbacks have, but don't do dumb stuff that's going to hurt your team. Did he throw it exactly at him? Did he flip it up in the air and it hit him in the helmet? Either way, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty, and that can cost you. So the trash talking is fun. Do it all you want, but don't do something that is going to either take points off the board or make it very difficult for you to get points. And I'm sure in New York they're hoping that was just a one deal thing. But yeah, you don't see those. You see Cam talking, but I don't think Cam is going to get into a scuffle.
And Willie, you told me something.
Skirmish.
A skirmish.
No, a kerfuffle yesterday. What did you say?
Last year I used the word kerfuffle.
Yeah, kerfuffle.
Teron Davenport did not like that. He did not like kerfuffle. Willie, you shared an interesting Jackson Dart stat with me earlier today.
Well, it was on the Mike Sando thing, and I think I may have gotten it wrong. You and I talking. I think it was. I'm going to blame it on the Heat for
Fair
my
enough.
lack of recall. But he was evaluated for a concussion 4 times in the first 9 starts that he made in the regular season, plus a 5th time in the preseason. So that's a lot for a short amount of time that you're on the field. And part of the reason is he led the 33 qualifying quarterbacks, in other words, the ones that played enough to really put in the survey, in percentage of plays that were designed runs, scrambles, sacks, or plays where he was hit but not sacked. So that's the big thing with him. He is willing to stick his nose in there, which leads to the skirmishes, the kerfuffles, the ruckuses, all of these things. So I think that is something to watch. Is will he mature out of that, or is he going to keep himself from staying on the field? You remember all of those times Mike Vrabel would challenge Will Levis, say, those guys are coming, man. You've got to be smart on how you run. And I'm not sure Levis played long enough to really learn whether we figured it out. He certainly didn't hold on to the ball enough. But you think about the smart runners, those are that's the ones you want to emulate.
One texter says, I haven't read a book since middle school.
Wow.
Not even in college. And before you say it, yes, I graduated. All right.
Man.
It's been decided. We are starting a DVD book club.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
We are starting
right.
a DVD book club.
All
We
right.
can start small. I'll
Okay.
borrow some books from my soon-to-be 5-year-old son.
Okay.
Frog and Toad.
Yes.
We'll start with Hop on Pop,
Okay, let's do
Hop
that.
on Pop.
Cat in the Hat. We'll start with Dr. Seuss,
Okay.
okay?
Who doesn't like Dr. Seuss?
Huh.
1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. All right. We'll start small. We'll start with basically pamphlets. We'll work our way up to the great.
But we want to get people to reading again.
Work our way up to the Iliad.
Yes,
Yes.
in due time.
Man.
But first, we'll start with something simple.
Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat it is. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Drew Beatty of paulkaharski.com will join the program. Drew, he's a film grinder. He specializes in film study and breakdown. We're curious for his thoughts on what Brian Dable can do for Cam Ward and the Titans offense. He's grinded all the film. We'll talk to him next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, and welcome in our guest, Drew Beatty, who contributes to PaulKaharski.com. He is PK's chief film analyst. Hello, Drew. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hey, man. How are you? I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. So, Drew, I need you to talk me out of an opinion I have. You're a film grinder. I'm a stats nerd. So we are in direct opposition with each other. Analytically, I feel that Brian Daboll has been dining out on his work with Josh Allen and that he has not overseen many above average offenses as a play caller. When you watch the tape of Daboll's previous work, how confident are you that he is the one who can help Cam Ward reach his potential?
Man, that's a fun question to start with. And honestly, as much as I would like to stand on my stance as a film over stats guy, this is probably one that I'm not going to be the most convicted behind. I'm kind of going to fence it a little bit here, which I know is lame to do. But I think when you evaluate Daboll's offensive production or his offensive production as units post Josh Allen, it's really difficult to do, and it seems like a cop-out, but I think you have to take in his offensive personnel into account. That's pretty important context. And you look at offenses that were spearheaded by Daniel Jones and Jackson Dart solely. Post those, I think that those are pretty important, caveats. But I do think, I think he's probably the best offensive mind that Tennessee has seen in a while. And I think that if the personnel takes the leaps, the young core that Tennessee has in place right now, I think if they can take the leaps that they're in place to do and that I believe they can do, I think Tennessee's offense is looking in a pretty positive direction. And you have to take into account how disappointing some of the New York offenses were. But I think that there were extenuating circumstances outside of Daboll that contributed to that.
One of Daboll's hallmarks, Drew, is relying on his quarterbacks to run. Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, and Jackson Dart all utilized their legs. Cam Ward rarely did that, at least did so at a below average rate last season in his rookie year. But based on what you have seen from Cam Ward in his rookie season, how capable do you think he is of being an effective scrambler under Daboll?
That's what I don't really expect to see a lot of Cam Ward, him being like a potent part of the rushing attack. And I'm interested to see whether or not Daboll will continue his heavy usage of quarterback runs with him, because I think when you look at maybe not so much Daniel Jones, but definitely a Josh Allen or a Jackson Dart, their legs are a premier part of their skill set. And I think mobility, is probably one of the bigger shortcomings when it comes to Cam Ward. He's not the best linear athlete you're going to see at quarterback. And I expect him to necessarily ever be that productive of a rusher throughout his career. So I'm interested to see whether or not Daboll's heavy quarterback run game was, a result of him having quarterbacks that had that as a part of their skill set, whether or not that's something that's integral to Daboll's offense. So I don't expect Cam Ward to be a heavy part of the rushing attack, but if he is, I would be pretty underwhelmed just because I don't think that's a large part of Cam's skill set.
We're talking with Drew Beatty. Now, Drew, how do you think they're going to, because we've seen Daboll with a young wide receiver, a young promising wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, and how they used him until he got hurt. Do you think they're going to try to use Carnell Tate in that same fashion, even with having a veteran in Calvin Ridley and then Wan'Dale Robinson in the middle?
Yeah, I think you have to. Honestly, I think with, you hear the term Earhart-Perkins system thrown around a lot when it comes to Brian Daboll, and anybody who's familiar with that offensive system knows how strenuous that is on the receivers, more than just about any other offensive philosophy, because the receivers have to know virtually everything is, a multi-option route. They have to go and read defenses. And that's a lot of stress to put on a young guy. It was for Malik Neighbors, and it's going to be for Carnell Tate. But ultimately, you need a guy to step up from the outside in the Earhart-Perkins offensive system. And I think that the only guy that I feel comfortable placing that burden on with their skill set in this receiving core right now is Carnell Tate. So, that's a very tall order for a kid who's a rookie going into an offense and take on that load in this kind of offensive system. But I think that Carnell Tate's kind of your your only option. I don't want to say your only option, but probably the one that's best suited in this offense for that.
Now, with that being said, because I would tend to believe that he, meaning Neighbors, was the focal point of that pass offense, and they moved him around a lot. Now they got Carnell Tate listed as the X, but to me, if you're going to use him like Neighbors, he's not just going to be an X. He's going to be a move guy. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that was something that Carnell Tate, he got labeled kind of solely as that pure X deep threat coming out of college. But I think he's a guy that's really got inside-outside versatility. I think he can thrive at the Z. He can thrive at the X. He can absolutely be a move guy. And I think you'll see him all over the field in Daboll's offense. And I think that it probably won't be a one-to-one, comparison as far as Neighbors usage goes, but I think you can absolutely have a lot of versatility outside of just the X spot for Tate.
Now, what we are trying to figure out, because a lot of the emphasis is put on the wide receivers, in particular, the slot, and then obviously having Carnell Tate. But how does the tight ends fit in this? Because, Daboll's never, whenever he's been an OC, he's never had that sort of elite tight end. And I'm not saying that Gunnar Helm is elite, but Gunnar Helm did show some development last year. So how are these tight ends going to be used in this system based upon what you've seen?
Right. I mean, that's another really interesting question that I'm excited to see how Daboll adjusts. Because I think as long as Daboll's been in the league, it's funny to see how many questions I still have about like what decisions he's made as an offensive designer were personnel based or stuff that he, wanted to do regardless of his personnel. Because I mean, you're right. I think the closest comparison you could probably get to is the tight end usage he had in Buffalo. I think that you're going to see. I would guess if I had to pick between his Buffalo and New York offenses, which one you're going to see his Tennessee offense be more modeled after, I would expect it to be more Buffalo heavy, just because I think the personnel matches more what he had in Buffalo other than what he had in his years in New York. So I don't know that a tight end is ever going to be a premier part of a Daboll offense, but I think Gunnar Helm is certainly poised to take the tight end one step. I think he's going to be a clear tier above Bellinger when it comes to the hierarchy in that tight end room. So I don't know that you're going to see like a 1,000-yard receiving season from Gunnar Helm or anything. But I think that you'll probably see more usage out of him than you did the tight ends in New York, just because I think Helm has a more well-suited receiving skill set than the guys he was dealing with the Giants.
Sort of a related question, because we were watching this today. Last year, the Titans were ranked 9th in the percentage of plays they ran out of the shotgun. And I'm curious, because in watching the practice, it looks like they're still going to run a lot of shotgun. But do you think 78% is about right, or do you think that will go up or down significantly with Daboll?
Honestly, I certainly don't expect it to go down. I don't know that I would guess for a significant uptick, but I would expect it to go up at least a little bit, because I think that's I've studied a lot of Daboll run game recently. I'll have a piece going up on that on paulkuharski.com within the next couple of days before preseason. But he's a very, very shotgun heavy run scheme, which is kind of rare in the modern NFL. He's very, very zone heavy. He loves split zone, particularly out of shotgun looks. So I think that, the under center run game is just not a focal point of a Brian Daboll offense. So I would expect to see really, really high shotgun numbers in the offense this year, and probably near the top of the league.
Drew Beatty is with us from paulkuharski.com. We're trying to set the table for what to expect with Brian Daboll's offense with the second-year quarterback Cam Ward. So, Drew, if you're going to run that much shotgun, what are the keys to having an effective, efficient running game? Because we're so focused on Carnell Tate and Cam Ward, the passer, but it's going to help him a lot if he can have a good running game to balance it. So what are the keys to success there if you're going to run that much shotgun?
Yeah, I mean, your biggest thing, I think, kind of your entry barrier when you're running a zone scheme is, do you have a running back that has the eyes and the processing speed to handle such a mentally demanding and zone-heavy scheme or run scheme like Daboll runs? And as much flack as Tony Pollard has gotten over the past year, with how many fans were pining for Jeremiah Love and just begging for a running back change, I think Pollard gets really undersold in his vision skill set as a runner. And I thought, especially in the last month of last season, like in December, I thought he really went on a tear with the zone that they were running in the offense last year. And I think he's a really, really efficient processor. He's got really good eyes. He's a very experienced running back in the league. So I think that Pollard is a good match for that, and I think he's going to be a key part to the success of the shotgun run game. But it's also going to hinge a lot on the offensive line, like any run scheme does. And all of us would be lying if we thought the interior offensive line wasn't a significant question mark. So I think whoever wins that right guard spot, whether it's Volson or Slater, they're going to have to step up pretty big time, whether it be an inexperienced guy or a guy coming off a significant shoulder injury. And then Schlattman, who's obviously got a lot of experience in Daboll's system, but you're going to need him to step up, really his first time in a major starting role. So I think the interior offensive line is going to be the biggest question mark and the unit you need to step up the most. But I have a lot of faith in Tony Pollard from the runner perspective to handle a Daboll zone run scheme.
You touched you referenced the origin, like the family tree of where Daboll picks up his concepts. And Robert Saleh talked about that at the opening press conference. He was saying there's so many offenses in the league right now that are more of the Shanahan and that type of thing. Daboll's philosophy is a little more outside the box, and so you don't see it very often. Therefore, it might be tougher to prepare for from him, the defensive mind. Tell us the origin. Like, where did Daboll learn, and what is the system? When you say Erhardt Perkins, what are you referencing back to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm glad you touched on this. It's something I've been excited to talk about that I haven't gotten a chance to this offseason. But Erhardt Perkins, it's one of the, it originated back in the 60s or 70s. Ron Erhardt, and I'm completely drawing a blank on the first name that Perkins comes from, but that duo, that was where the offensive philosophy originated. But I think people nowadays get really hung up on those labels, whether it be Air Raid or West Coast or Erhardt Perkins. Like that, those are talked about as if they're these umbrella terms that define an offense. But in reality, in the modern NFL, they're just languages. They're communication networks that you use to talk about your offense. So, well, yes, Daboll's always ran an Erhardt Perkins offense. His Erhardt Perkins offense in New York was very different from the Erhardt Perkins he ran in Buffalo, because your concepts aren't defined by that necessarily kind of umbrella term. It's just how you communicate them and what language you use to talk about them is what kind of Erhardt Perkins means. So I think you hear that term thrown around a lot, but it doesn't necessarily define an offense's identity. It's more just how they communicate. So I think you'll hear that term thrown around a lot, but there can be a lot of variance even underneath that name. So I'm excited to see, like I said, I would expect the offense to follow more of the Buffalo passing concept usage rather than New York. But you hear that term thrown around a lot, and I think people kind of misuse it to identify an offense when in reality it's more just kind of a language.
Drew, before we let you go, I want to touch back on what we talked about at the beginning of our conversation. When we evaluate Cam Ward's rookie year, there are two warring factions. Those of us who rely heavily on analytics, statistics, and those like you who spend the time, really grind the tape, have intricate knowledge of X's and O's. And it has been really fascinating to me how differently people perceive Cam Ward's rookie season, depending on which side of the fence you're on. So I would love for your opinion on this. What are people like me who lean almost exclusively on numbers and statistics? What are people like me missing in evaluating Cam Ward's rookie year based on all of the film, all of the tape that you've been watching?
Yeah, another great question that I think is a really interesting talking point. I think the biggest thing that, there's nuance that I think stats don't catch when it comes to evaluating any position, but it's particularly significant when it comes to quarterback. In the modern NFL, I think quarterback processing and your mental ability is probably the biggest contributor to success for NFL quarterbacks. At least that's how I believe and how I evaluate quarterbacks. And I think there's not really a productive, not a stat that we have to measure that when it comes to analytics right now, at least not efficiently, I believe. And I think that's what should give people the most faith in Cam Ward coming out of his rookie season, is how impressive neurologically he was as a processor, as a rookie. That's a really, really difficult thing for a young quarterback to come in and take control of an offense and be able to really read the field and be on time and process efficiently. And I thought Cam Ward did a really, really good job of that as a rookie with a less than ideal supporting cast. So I think that's probably the biggest kind of divider between the stats and the film on Cam Ward. And I know his statistical profile is not all that alluring, but I think that it doesn't really encapsulate how good of a processor he is, especially for how young he is. So that's the biggest thing that gives me faith in Cam Ward going forward.
Drew Beatty has been our guest on DMase, Vingan, and Donick. You can find his work at paulkaharski.com. You can also follow him on X at Iron City Film. Drew, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to do it again.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
615-737-1025. We'll react to what Drew had to say. You can as well. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's talk loan pronto. If you have an original mortgage of 2, 3, or 4%, you certainly don't want to refinance that. And you don't have to, because if you still need money and you're looking for a way to do it, you can get cash out of your home with Loan Pronto's zero-cost equity loan. With Loan Pronto, you can get the cash that you need without touching your first mortgage and without any fees. That's important. So see what Loan Pronto can do for you. Call them at 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. We've got a lot of examples of how it works. One local homeowner got $100,000 out of his home's equity, paid off the credit card bill, paid off existing HELOC, and remodeled their kitchen for the house and saved over $1,500 per month in their monthly budget. There's no hard credit pull up front, usually no appraisal, no long drawn-out process. This is a time-tested method, so call Loan Pronto right now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender for qualified homeowners, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This Saturday on 102.5 The Game. Sorry, Derek is dancing, and I can see it through my peripheral vision. This Saturday on 102.5 The Game, you can catch the Arena Crown Championship as the Nashville Cats take on the Albany Firebirds at F&M Bank Arena. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Coverage will begin at 2:30 p.m. only on 102.5 The Game. Also, be listening, because at some point between now and the top of the hour, we will give you, yes, you, a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena. Tickets will either be for Friday, August 14th or Sunday, August 16th. So if you want a 4-pack of tickets to see PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena next week, be listening between now and the top of the hour. We appreciate Drew Beatty of paulkaharski.com for joining the program. And we've talked about this before, but I've always found it fascinating to evaluate players, not just in football, in all sports. Evaluating players based on statistics and based on film. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I can watch film of Cam Ward all day, and I'm not going to pick up the things that Drew picks up or Derek Mason picks up or people who are more steeped in football pick up. But I can read a spreadsheet, and I can tell you what the numbers say. And as I said to Drew, there are warring factions between the ball knowers and the film watchers and the stats nerds when it comes to Cam Ward. His statistics were terrible last year. We can all agree on that. But I thought it was interesting, Willie, when I asked Drew about what are the people who rely on the numbers missing when evaluating Cam Ward. By the way, before you answer that, speaking of running backs getting paid, within the past couple of minutes from Adam Schefter, Jahmyr Gibbs and the Lions have reached agreement on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal that could be worth up to $75.75 million and includes $51.5 million guaranteed, now making him the NFL's highest paid running back. So this week alone, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and now Jahmyr Gibbs, the highest paid running back in the NFL. 3 years, $67.5 million.
So he got more than Robinson. That's interesting because Robinson, I think, is viewed as a little bit more of the workhorse. Gibbs has had some of the load taken off of him.
He who signs the contract first.
That's what I was going to. That's
or
what
he
I was
who
thinking.
signed last is first.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So, but I think there'll be a cooling off period now, as far as running backs getting this type of money.
I can't think off the top of my head who would be next.
Yeah, me either.
Well, it won't be long if Jeremiah Love does well.
Yeah.
But I think these guys have shown that if you're exceptional and you're a weapon, even though you're a running back, it's not quite as easy to say, well, you don't need to pay running backs. I can find another guy. You can't find another Jahmyr Gibbs. You can't just find another Bijan Robinson. Those guys are special, and they deserve to get paid more. And so Jonathan Taylor, you throw him in there too. So it's interesting. The market does look like it's shaken out a little bit better for running backs. Remember a couple years, it was like a running back caucus.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a crisis.
Some more money.
Nobody's getting paid. What are we doing? What are we going to do? So not hearing that as much now.
But back to Drew Beatty and Cam Ward. He brought up the processing of Cam Ward and how on film Cam Ward appears to be a good processor, which is interesting because I feel like that's a criticism of Cam Ward, his decision-making process. So it was interesting to hear Drew have confidence, have faith in Cam Ward because of that element.
Yes, I was going back through the FTN scouting report, some of the numbers, and matching it. Because I think the thing that we've learned is marrying what the stats show and what the film shows is the key. Only if you do both can you truly start to understand. And as you said, Adam, some of us are better at interpreting one better than the other. I'd say I'm probably mediocre in both. So it's for when it comes to football. But I do think that there is a rap on him of can he go through the progressions? Can he take the easy stuff, the processing? So I'm optimistic that that we think that he is doing well. But when you have a new offense, you're also looking for that second year bump. And the old adage too is a lot of quarterbacks have gone south, young quarterbacks, because they don't do well the first year. So that causes you to change the coach and the coordinator. And now you find yourself learning a new offense every couple of years. That's usually makes it tougher in the processing that we're talking about. So we'll see if he makes that big jump in year 2.
I mean, it's tough because even though we want to see the jump, we also got to understand that, things are new to everybody. And how would that jump look? How would that potential jump look if he's in the same system? Now, we can say, well, Drake May was in a different system his second year, and look how he still was able to flourish. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think McDaniels has proven that he's an exceptional play caller. And not to say that Dabo isn't a good play caller, but I think, McDaniels' track record is a little bit longer than what Dabo has. So it's about wanting to see that progress, but knowing yet and still this is a new offense basically for everybody on that offense. And how fast can Dabo, and this is where Dabo and the quarterbacks coaches, this is where it's going to be important for them. How quickly can they get Cam Ward to know this offense? Because his development it's not something that everybody doesn't know, but his development hinges on how quickly he can learn the offense, or how quickly they can all see this offense the same way. Because if he's still having problems, which I'm sure he will here and there, but if he's having major problems, even with his athletic ability, he's still not going to grow at a pace that we're satisfied with.
Josh from White House on Jahmyr Gibbs now becoming the highest paid running back in the NFL by average per year, $22.5 million, bypassing Bijan Robinson, who signed earlier this week, $22.25. All of the talk of trade him or not was going on. I kept hearing he wasn't worth it due to age and that running backs aren't worth bigger contracts. If they would have kept him, we wouldn't have this conversation about who he retires as, or have to hear all the mouth breathers complain because they don't have reading skills. Well, I do worry about reading skills.
Yeah.
But in terms of average per year running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs now number 1, Bijan Robinson number 2, Jonathan Taylor number 3, Saquon Barkley number 4. There are now 4 running backs who make an average of at least $20 million per year. Christian McCaffrey, Devon A-Chain, Derrick Henry, and Breece Hall round out the top 8.
I would say A-Chain is an interesting one in that group. But on the Derrick Henry thing, it's not like the Titans were going against the grain. They were paying Derrick Henry a lot more than most teams were paying running backs. And this was despite Derrick Henry really not being an effective third down pass catching back, right? He did most of his damage in run situations, and he was the best in the game. So it wasn't because they didn't pay him, right? I think that they just felt like it was time to move on. And I think privately, Derrick Henry, and he was never really asked this, but I think in his mind, it might have been fair to say he was ready to move on. He saw that the Vrabel era was coming to a close. He saw that Ryan Tannehill had aged out. Kevin Byard was aging out. The nucleus of the team that was really good for 3 or 4 years there, it wasn't that same team anymore. So something new was in the cards for both sides. I think that's the reason, and not money.
It was time to go. Everybody knew it was time to part ways. Not you never want to part ways on a bad note, and they did. You allowed a player that still has some game in him. Now, whether you thought he was going to be this good or not, I don't know. But Derrick Henry was in a better position once he left, because he went to a team with a quarterback in place, and that team was ready to go. This team, even with him, it would have been a team that would have been struggling. So they did the best thing for Derrick Henry in allowing him to, be a free agent and sort of pick his team he wanted to go to.
Yeah, I understand Titans fans being upset about Derrick Henry going on to Baltimore again. Titans fans have a complex about the Baltimore Ravens. Derek Mason can tell you that firsthand as I stare at his busted Baltimore Ravens bobblehead over there, his cranium held together by masking tape. I don't know.
I think it was pretty good surgery.
Yeah, I think I did good surgery.
Derek did the surgery on himself, and he still has held it together. I thought it was dope. I thought it was all over. You see a couple of headless bobbleheads in that same area.
Yeah, Kevin Byard has no head.
That was one of the longest surgeries ever recorded at 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
From here, surgery. I just thought you added.
Still hanging on.
It's still hanging on, too.
From here, I thought you just added some of the some white in your hair, but then I realized it was masking tape.
Yes, masking tape. Yeah.
So I know that Titans fans have a complex about the Ravens, and Derrick Henry has gone on to be incredibly productive for the Ravens. I think we all expected Derrick Henry to be productive for the Ravens. Maybe not this productive.
I did not expect him to be this productive. That is the thing, because I was out there saying, hey, look, he's going to be 30. I think the Ravens won't be getting the best Derrick Henry, but the Ravens were getting what they needed. They needed that piece to the offense, but full marks to Henry, because I think if you take a look at production at age 30 and 31, he's about as productive as it's ever been for those 2 seasons, right? 1,900 and 1,500. It's amazing. I did not see that. I thought maybe a steady decline was what would likely happen, but Derrick Henry is proving that he is the elite of the elite.
I didn't expect any less. I knew he was going to go to Baltimore and be even better at times, and it was, considering the age. He almost rushed for 2,000 yards in Baltimore.
Yes, he did.
The season he got there. And then he comes back with a 1,500 yarder. So, him slowing down was never a thing to me. I just thought he needed to go because, listen, when you only have so many, carries in you, and the last of your carries, however many they are, after you didn't spend 8-9 years at a place and y'all are seeming to be more on a decline, you do want to go somewhere where you can finish out your years on a winning note and possibly, get a Super Bowl out of it.
615-737-1025. Breaking during this segment. The Detroit Lions have made Jahmyr Gibbs the highest paid running back in NFL history, an annual average value of $22.5 million. The third notable running back to re-sign this week. Bijan Robinson in Atlanta, Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis, and now Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, could the Titans' joint practice with the 49ers be in jeopardy? We'll discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
They got a scrimmage tomorrow night. Man, tomorrow night, gosh.
Hey, if you've had one of those days and you're running around right now going, what are we going to do for dinner? This is where I keep emphasizing some of the benefits of Twice Daily with their rewards program, where they have the special discounts for you. They've got the savings. You got points every time you go to Twice Daily, and you're part of that rewards program. So you save money with every visit. And let's get back to the pizza. It's always an easy move to make. $6 for 2 slices, $2 off whole pizzas. You can order it ahead. You can order in store. You can get it delivered to your house. Pizza's easy even when life isn't. So if you're having one of those days, melty, cheesy, saucy, Twice Daily, oven fresh pizza. Order a whole pizza in the store or online, or stop in for a slice to go. It's Twice Daily, fresh all day.
DMase, Vingan and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you.
Club DMase today.
No doubt. Club
Keeping
hits.
it rocking.
Be listening this segment because at the end, I will give you the cue to call at 615-737-1025 to win a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena. Also, at the top of the hour, you will hear our conversation after practice with Carnell Tate. Looking forward to listening to it again. I mean, I was there, so I've heard it once already, but it was a good interview. So I think you should tune into it at the top of the hour. Next week, the Tennessee Titans are scheduled to have a joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, California, right next to the substation. And The Athletic reported earlier today, quote, the San Francisco 49ers had 20 players not participating by the end of Wednesday's practice, not including receiver Ricky Pearsall, who is on injured reserve and out for the season. That's 22.2% of the roster hanging out in the trainer's room nursing injuries. Now, assistant head coach Chris Forster, who is leading the team in place of the injured Kyle Shanahan, said, quote, it seems like we're very healthy. We have injuries, we have dings, bumps, and bruises, and guys are missing practices. It is yet to come up in anything I've heard. It doesn't mean it hasn't been discussed, but you have 2 players deep at every position, and you can practice. Now, The Athletic has pointed out that 2 years ago, the 49ers canceled a joint practice with the Saints when they were down 23 players. The Niners are down currently 20 players.
They're down 20 players, and the interim coach says, it seems like we're really healthy. I don't think that was the right thing to say.
It's kind of like that Purdue guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he goes on and answers it more like you would think. We have some injuries, we got some dings, but it seems like we're very healthy. I don't think that's leading up. That doesn't match up with 20 guys are out. Like Robert Saleh, like knock on wood, right? He's had 1 or 2 little things to say after each practice. There's nowhere near 20 guys that aren't available right now for the Titans. That's a good thing for now. It could change.
That is unheard of. It is.
That's a lot of guys.
Yeah, that's unheard of. I've never been a part, especially at the beginning of camp where you have 20 people. Just think, 20 guys are not practicing. That's a lot of guys. When you're talking about the depth and having to run plays over and over again, that is a lot of guys to not be practicing. And y'all ain't even had a game yet. I don't know why he's trying to downplay that. Now, it may be some tightness and muscles there here and there. Okay, then.
And probably inexperience
exactly
in handling press conferences.
But you don't, when there's 20 people not practicing, that is big. It is. So, I don't know what the Titans, maybe they look at it as, they defer to Saleh because he's been there.
And there are notable players, too, for the 49ers who are injured, including Nick Bosa, Christian Kirk, Mike Evans, Drake Greenlaw. So it's not like the second and third teamers who are dealing with injuries. There are some second and third teamers dealing with injuries, but there are a lot of notable players dealing with injuries. So it leads me to wonder this, Derek, even if the Titans go out there and do practice next to the substation, we got to be careful about the substation. But if the Titans go out there and practice next week, and let's assume these 20 guys who were banged up aren't practicing, yeah, it's great. You're going to practice against another team, but you may be missing some of the 49ers' best players. I'm wondering if that changes the how you evaluate the practice.
I don't think it changes how you evaluate the practice because, regardless if their guys are out there or not, they're top line guys anyway, you still got to go out there and execute. And, whether it's against the starters, backups, or against air, you got to go out there and execute at a level that is sufficient for everybody. And I'm not going to look at it and say, well, their top guys would. No, it's what did you do against the guys that were out there? That's what I want to see. And if you didn't go out there and take advantage of it, how do I expect you to go against one of the top tier guys if you can't beat the guy that is essentially his backup or either further down the depth chart? So I mean, you evaluated how you evaluate every other practice. What did you do with the plays that we gave you? How successful were they? Were you successful at making those plays as a quarterback and as a team?
If you're the NFL, do you step in regards to the 49ers? There is, I mean, this is not a new thing for the 49ers, right? They have, on an annual basis, seemingly been one of the most injured teams in the NFL. And we had a laugh about the team hiring some, physicist or something to go and make sure that the substation had nothing to
Right.
do with all of the injuries, but they actually did take that step. But this feels, I mean, I know football is a tough sport. I get it. But this feels extreme.
I mean, listen, after the sort of rash of injuries that San Francisco has had over the years, now you could say it's a conspiracy or not. Either way, the rash of injuries that they've had, if the NFL hasn't stepped in and said something yet, they're not. For this reason and this reason alone. The minute I step in as the NFL, what I'm saying is something's wrong. And y'all keep telling me there's nothing wrong. But if I have to step in, I deem something wrong. And then you know what comes after that if they do find out something wrong? You know what comes on after that? Lawsuits. Because you continue to let your players play when you knew more than likely there was something wrong. That's why the NFL just hopes it goes away. San Francisco hopes it goes away too, but the NFL definitely hopes it goes away.
Well, remember the Titans, not the movie Remember the Titans, but a few years ago, they put in turf and they made it a point to say, we're doing this because we believe that the players will be healthier with turf, which goes against everything we've ever been taught about turf as opposed to grass, right? And the Players Association, even in recent years, since the turf has become a lot different than the old turf that you can visualize covering up a multi-purpose stadium like Veterans Stadium or Three Rivers Stadiums, the ones we grew up, Riverfront Stadium, where you just put carpet over everything, and there were seams where you had to switch the stands and the baseball field. It was bad, right? Just terrible. So there's been a lot of improvement, but still the players would like to prefer play grass. So it was not lost on a lot of NFL players that the World Cup, there were stadiums that changed to grass just for the World Cup. And like, well, if we can do that, why can't we just play our games on the grass? But the Titans went the other way. They put in turf saying, oh, we've had too many injuries with our grass. I'm like, what? So I think teams get it in their mind. Like, I don't know if you really scientifically can prove things. Like, I wonder about this transformer. It was debunked, I guess, by the study that we said,
but
they referenced. They're not telling us. But
who did it?
But I wonder if the genesis of that was, why do we keep getting guys hurt, as opposed to, hey, I think there's a problem with the transformer or whatever. Like this is a central thing for 49ers. Remember they had the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia where Purdy got hurt and Christian McCaffrey was putting his helmet on and had to get the thing in his helmet so he could hear the coach because he was actually having to play quarterback. That's how bad it got.
According to Over the Cap, the 49ers had 20 players on a reserve list during the season, accounting for more than $95 million in adjusted annual value on their contracts, the highest amount in the league by nearly $20 million. In 2024 and 2020, the Niners led the league in adjusted games lost, a statistic that estimates the impact of injuries on teams. And now, apparently, 20 players did not practice yesterday for the 49ers because of some sort of ailment.
If I'm Salah, you do have to approach this. You just got to think about it. Listen, you've already agreed to go. You're not going to now withdraw because it's going to make it a bigger story.
But they do have 2 other joint practices scheduled with the Seahawks and the Bears.
Yeah, but
right?
those are not places that have been known to
and those
have
practices
a rash of
are
injuries.
here, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't expect him to just call it off. But what I do expect him to do is, whether you believe that is the reason there's injuries or not, I think you want to err on the side of caution. And you got to know, especially if they don't have certain players playing, you got to know to sort of your marquee guys. This is only one practice. Let's kind of ease them back. Let's ease those guys that are fighting for spots, ease those guys up the third stringers, let them play a lot more. Yeah, we give y'all some reps, but I'm not going to put my players in a position where we end up like the San Francisco 49ers just after one practice.
615-737-1025. The Titans are scheduled to have a joint practice with the 49ers out west next week. But the 49ers apparently down 20 players at practice yesterday because of various injuries. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, you'll hear our conversation after practice with rookie wide receiver Carnell Tate. But before we do that, it's time to give away those tickets to PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena, a 4-pack of tickets to be precise. If you would like those tickets, be caller number 5 right now at 615-737-1025. Caller number 5 to 615-737-1025 will win a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena. Tickets will either be for Friday, August 14th, or Sunday, August 16th. Good luck. 615-737-1025. Willie Donnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. Congratulations to Alec, right, Connor?
Indeed.
Alec, who won the 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days at Bridgestone Arena. If you missed your opportunity, I can confirm we will give away another 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days tomorrow. So be listening for that. The Tennessee Titans were back out on the practice field today. Not much to report. Ella Guyamander left practice with a shoulder injury. Robert Saleh did not have an update after practice other than the shoulder, quote unquote, seemed stable. I remember, if I recall correctly, those are the words Saleh used, but no fireworks like the other day, no fighting, no long bombs from Cam Ward to Carnell Tate. And speaking of Carnell Tate, we had the pleasure after practice, the four of us, to chop it up with Carnell Tate, get to know him a little bit. Of course, Derek Mason had to kick off the interview by what's the word I'm looking for? Relating.
Exactly.
Relating.
Had to find some common ground.
Precisely. You had to find some common ground with Carnell Tate. Of course, Derek Mason, a proud alum of Michigan State, and Carnell Tate of The Ohio State University. Those two universities hate one university in particular. So here is our conversation from earlier today with new Titans wide receiver Carnell Tate.
All right, we're talking with Carnell Tate, the Tennessee Titans' 4th overall draft pick. And first off, Carnell, I'm a Michigan State guy. You're an Ohio State guy. Do you hate them as much as I hate them?
Oh, no, we hate them more. Yeah, we hate them more than y'all. That rivalry runs deep.
Well, that's good, man. Yeah, it runs deep with me as well. But I knew if one team hated them more than we did, it had to be you guys at Ohio State. But how has the first week been for you?
The first week's been good. Piggybacking off the spring, continue to go out there, learn, get better, compete with the teammates each and every day. And then most important, just building that relationship and that trust within Cam and the offense.
Now, how has, the experience playing with, Calvin Ridley, him being a veteran guy, as well as Wandale, who's come from the same system that you guys are running now?
It's been tremendous. So I look up to those guys. I'm always asking those guys questions. Wandale specifically, he's had experience in Dave Booth's offense, so he knows every position in and out when to show up. So he's just giving me tips and tricks as far as the offense and how to learn. Then also Calvin Ridley, probably one of the elite movers around here. He gives me tips and tricks about how to manipulate different DBs and just add to my bag.
Now, do you feel comfortable with the role that the team is having you play at this particular time? You're the X receiver now, and I'm pretty sure Dabo wants you to move around. But are you feeling comfortable in that role that you're in now?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable. As the time goes on, I'm just getting more and more comfortable, especially with the offense. Like at Ohio State, I played numerous positions, just learning that. What helped me most was learning the entire playbook. So when I learned the entire playbook, the concept, it allowed me to play different spots in the whenever they need me in offense.
Carnell Tate is with us, and Carnell, that's one thing that has been a theme ever since Brian Daboll came here. Is it seems like his offense is relatively easy to pick up compared to some. Have you found that to be the case?
I would say it's kind of tricky. I mean, I've learned one offense for the past 3 years with Ohio State, so here it's been tricky. This is my first new offense I had to learn. So it's just a matter of unlearning everything I've learned over the past 3 years to relearning things now. So, like, specifically, every team uses the same formation, but different words and then different route concepts, maybe call different things from what I'm used to.
What do you think the biggest that we hear all the time about the Ohio State wide receivers? What do you think it was the best tool that you learned that helped you when you got here on day one? What you learned there?
Just consistency. I think consistency goes a long way, just as far as you being consistent and doing the right thing, you being consistent and showing up, and just most importantly catching the ball. So I think that's what all makes us elite players and elite receivers.
Take me back to when you first walked on to that campus, because you knew about the wide receiver pedigree there when you came in there.
Yeah.
What was that like, getting there, seeing the guys around you, and then finding your spot?
It was a blessing. I mean, I walked in the stack room behind Marv and Emeka, and then fortunately I was able to learn from those two guys, and then just find different ways to get on the field, whether that's through teams or just whenever late in the game they need me the most.
Carnell, the play you made from Cam Ward the other day at practice blew up on social media, as you might imagine. I know that that's a strength of your game, to go deep and catch those balls. What goes into getting that right and developing that chemistry on those passes specifically from Cam?
There was just a lot of reps over the summer. It started over the summer where me and him just continued to run those deep balls down the field, and he just throwing the different balls out there, just having me run under them. So, like, it's just a matter of trusting me to go out there and run under the ball.
Carnell, we talk a lot about Ohio State wide receivers, and I think I know the answer to this question. It's probably LSU, but who is wide receiver for you?
Definitely not LSU. It's Ohio State. I mean, we've been doing it for so long. We got longevity.
What has Ryan Hartline done for your career? Obviously, he's attributed to a lot of Ohio State wide receiver success.
Coach Hartline helped me a lot. He's nitpicked at my game a lot. He keeps it real with me. Whenever I think I did good, he goes tell me I did bad, and then he just always find the tools to help me get better and the way to improve, and then to see the game at a different level.
Is it what you thought it was going to be coming into camp? I know you went through the mini camps, and as you know, even in college, there's a difference from spring ball to actually camp heading into the season. So has camp been everything you thought it would be?
Oh, yeah, camp has been everything I thought it would be. Long days, similar to college. I think they work with you more here as far as the schedule-wise, not every day as long as college, but I think it is what it is, just consistently hard work football.
Now, is that the hardest part, the long days? Because even in college, you have class, so you can go to, you have study hall, but here, it's all-day football.
Oh, no, it's pretty much similar to college. I mean, over the summer, so they have you here all day, all long, so, like, it's just a matter of just staying locked in.
Carnell Tate is with us, and we're always curious about guys' backgrounds when you grew up, other sports. What led you to be a wide receiver? First of all, on the football field, were you always a wide receiver? Did you play any QB? What else did you do?
No, I think we all start youth football as playing running back. I mean, running back or quarterback. I mean, youth football, you don't really throw the ball, so I was just lined up at quarterback, just ran the ball. Then I made the transition to running back, and then I tried to play quarterback, but wasn't very accurate. So then I stuck it out of running back, and then my 8th grade year, I finally made the full switch to receiver.
So 8th grade is when you went out there.
Yeah.
So what kind of instruction did you get at that point? Like you said, a lot of youth leagues, they're not throwing the ball too much. They're just running it, whoever's got the best legs and things like that. But who taught you some of the early techniques?
That young, I used to just watch football, watch YouTube, just trying to learn from the older guys who were doing it the correct way, just trying to go out there, rep it myself.
Did you play other sports?
Yeah, I played basketball a little bit, but then once basketball and football season started conflict, I gave up basketball. It wasn't where my heart was at.
Yeah. So that was an easy decision for you. What grade were you like? I'm just football now.
Freshman year of high school. Probably played like 4 games. It only lasted like 4 game season. I was like, nah, basketball ain't it.
Was there a specific guy you looked up to receiver-wise when you watched?
Yeah, Devontae Adams, Antonio Brown, those 2 guys who always done it at the highest level, and also Julio.
Now, you talked about the room you were in at Ohio State, and I can even go back to the Chris Carter days, guys like that have been there for a long time. They started
old guys,
Joey Galloway, guys like that. But when was it that you felt you belong in that room? Because, like you said, you walked into a stacked room, so you got to prove yourself. When is that moment that you felt I belong here?
I felt like that I belonged there during fall camp. When I got up there on campus, I had made the freshman mistake, not knowing where to line up, not knowing the play, inconsistent. So once I was able to get a glimpse of the playbook and then building going into the summer and continue to study the playbook, I felt like I belonged in fall camp.
Now, talk a little bit more about that, because a lot of guys have the talent.
Yeah.
And for sure, everybody in that receiver room had the talent. But it's all about getting comfortable in the situation that you're in. Do you prescribe to that? The more you feel comfortable with what you're doing, the more your talent will come out?
Oh, yeah, I think it is. I think the more confidence you know in what you're doing, the more your talent goes out there and thrive. I mean, because first thing, it starts with what to do. Like, if you don't know what to do, then you can't go out there, play fast, you're overthinking. You probably can't catch the ball because you don't know where you need to be at. So I think that's where it starts.
Now, Dabo said, and I'm going to quote him, he said, "You are the smartest rookie he's coached." What does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me. He has high expectations for me. He believes in me.
That was Carnell Tate with us after practice earlier today. I almost said yesterday. After practice earlier today, Willie and Derek, now that you've heard back the interview, what were your takeaways from our conversation with Carnell Tate?
I think this is a young man that is super focused on coming out and just being the best football player that he can be. It doesn't seem like he's affected by the enormity of the moment because this is a moment. He's coming in here and he's tasked to, take a receiving core that has been, subpar at best and to elevate them into, one of the better, rooms or positions in the NFL, not just on your team. So even with all of that, it seems like he keeps a level head about it. And I think a lot of it is because of what he had to go through at Ohio State. Like he said, when he first got there, it was Marvin, Emeka. So when you're walking into a room with guys that are 5 stars right in front of you, there's a level of, one, humility first, and then 2, there's a level of proving yourself. And there's a level of not allowing the moment to get too big. If he would have allowed the moment to get too big for him, he would have never been able to compete in that in that receiver room, because you're talking about all first rounders. So that was evident to me that this young man, he has the confidence, but it's not this confidence that he sort of talks about. He has this confidence of, I know what I'm doing. I know I got a process to go through, but I feel like I'm playing this league. And it's not like just because I'm the 4th pick in the NFL draft, I made it. No, he still knows that there's a lot to go. He has a long way to go to get to the point where he wants to be.
I really like his disposition. It's confident, but it's not brash. It's firm, but it's also kind of even keel, soft spoken. Doesn't seem to get too high or too low. And he carries that out on the field. I like how he carries it. He glides.
Mm-hmm.
He's not demonstrative out there. He's not emotional. But I don't want to say robotic, because there's personality in there. Like, I like how the deadpan, like, oh no, we hate him more.
Yeah.
We hate Michigan more than you guys. Like, it's deadpan, but it's there. Like, he's focused. I'm impressed so far from what I'm seeing for him.
It is remarkable when you look at the history of Ohio State receivers in the NFL. Even in recent history, the number of great wide receivers who have come out of Ohio State. Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Emeka Egbuka. Derek, you were mentioning older wide receivers, Chris Carter, Joey Galloway,
Terry Glenn,
right?
David Boston,
it's
Chris Sanders. I mean,
who could
down the
forget?
line?
Who could
Gotta
forget
get Chris
Sanders?
Sanders.
Yes, exactly.
An oversight on my part. I should have named him before anybody else. But part of me feels confident that Carnell Tate will become a productive wide receiver in the NFL simply because of where he came from. The track record it's hard to dispute how successful Ohio State wide receivers have been in the NFL.
That's like, and I don't mean throw shade at UT, but UT sort of falls in that. They've for so long they were considered wide receiver U, but in the last 10 years somewhere, it hadn't been that way. It may have been that way in college, but it's never translated to the NFL. And it seems like whatever Ohio State does, and it's not just Ohio State, LSU, Alabama. You see these teams, especially Ohio State, year in and year out, they have that dude. And in that situation, they had like 4 dudes at one time. And all those guys were first rounders. So when you're accustomed to that, and you're accustomed to competing the good way, in a room like that, I don't think anything is ever like any competition is ever too big, because it's like, man, the minute I walked in, I had to compete with 3 first rounders, just to get some playing time, not even to be the starter, but just to get playing time.
I loved how he answered that question. You were like, take me back to walking into that room where you knew they're so stacked, right? But it just seemed like he had the right mentality. He didn't seem like he was like, oh yeah. But I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I could go out there. There was so much discourse about, well, I don't know if you want to take Tate with the 4th pick because he's not even the best receiver on his team. But looking back on it, it might have been a good thing, right? It might have been great to have that type of competition day in and day out at your position. it probably made him a lot better.
That's like saying, "Oh, don't draft Justin Jefferson because he was playing next to
Jamar
Chase." Huh? Justin Jefferson is just as good as Jamar Chase. One fed off the other. It's the same at Ohio State. You can't look at Carnell Tate and say, "Well, because of Jeremiah Smith, I get it." But eventually, if Carnell Tate wasn't Carnell Tate, they would have triple teamed Jeremiah Smith to not make sure he got the ball. But they had to eventually play it honest. Why? Because not only did they have Jeremiah Smith, but Carnell Tate and everybody else. So even him playing that second role, sort of second fiddle, that doesn't diminish who he is as a player. He was just playing with someone that is, physically better in a sense. Not to say he's a better wide receiver, but from a physical standpoint, he's a more imposing receiver than Carnell Tate.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction to our chat with Carnell Tate after practice earlier today. Impressive young man. And I
Yes.
know that Tennessee Titans fans are going to love him. I mean, you saw the reaction to the clip from practice the other day of Carnell Tate catching, I think, what's been estimated as a 60 to 65-yard touchdown from Cam Ward. And that's where I want to go to coming up next, because I want to ask this question. How can Carnell Tate change the Titans' DNA? Because I think Carnell Tate can provide something for the Titans that they have been sorely missing for a long time. So we'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
is like, he's in such a weird spot where we talked about him as a prospect and we were like, okay, maybe he's not as good as like the Jamar Chases or whatever, but like he's obviously an excellent wide receiver prospect. But I don't think anyone thought that he was going to go as high as he did. And then so he does. And I think that we all had this collective like, well, how do we really think about him going that high? But then when you really get down to like the nuts and bolts of like, what does he do for the Tennessee Titans? He kind of fixes a lot of the issues that they had where like, again, now they have a guy who they can just line him up on the outside and he can win one-on-one. And I think Alec Iomanner could actually do a little bit of that for them last year. But the issue is I think his consistency down to down, especially in terms of just like simply catching the football, was really up and down. I do not foresee that at all being an issue for Carnell Tate, who, if there's anything I'm certain that he's good at, it's tracking and catching the football. And so you just add this like this element of consistency from the pass catchers that I don't think that we ever saw from Tennessee last year, on top of
That was the Athletic Football Show talking about Carnell Tate and the Tennessee Titans. A perfect receiver for a guy like Cam Ward. Derek Mason, do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I do. But I do think, Alec will be, hopefully, what happened today is not a setback of any other than him not being able to finish practice. But I think Alec will be more consistent this year. But he does have a point. That's one thing that, no one questions is Carnell Tate's ability to go up and make contested catches. He was the best at that last year in college football, and they expect that trend to continue because he has the kid out of Cincinnati.
Jamar
Chase? No, not Jamar Chase, but
T.
T. Higgins. He like T. Higgins, doing an excellent job at body control, sort of like Larry Fitzgerald was. That there's never a time where you think they will not have an opportunity to catch the pass because of how they're able to contort their bodies or they use that ability of being a true hands catcher, guys that go up and catch it at the highest point. And that's what they're looking for Carnell to do because that's what he displayed at Ohio State. So he's right about that. He's going to be the guy that they look to make those 50-50 catches. They're going to look for him to make it more times than not. But I also think they're going to move him around because if you watch Ohio State tape, he's an inside, he's outside. They use him in multiple situations and splits and formations, just like they did Jeremiah Smith. And I think that's how you get the best out of your A1 guy. Is if I haven't seen any A1 guy not be the move guy where we can move them. Why? Because that creates a mismatch. That gets the coverage off of us. That makes it harder for the defense to pin that one guy down. So that's why I'm surprised they made him solely the X. But I know even if you make him the X, you still can move him around.
He just looks the part. He looks like he's not in over his head. And that tracking thing that was referred to there, I think that's just so easy to see. I've always wondered, DMase, how do you teach that? Because I used to watch and have this observation about Chikakonkwo. So much arms and legs, and once he got the ball and got going, he was really good at running after the catch. But there were a lot of times he was so busy, he had trouble making contested catches in the flow. But I see Tate makes it look so easy. It's like his feet are always timed up. He catches the ball effortlessly. He can go up and get it. I've always wondered what leads you to have that kind of strength like that, because not everybody can do it. It's got to be hard to teach too.
Yeah, that's not something that I think you can teach someone. Now, you can help enhance it by doing drills and really working on it. But some guys, that's just like, some outfielders. Some are just great at, balls over their head, tracking balls really well. And some guys are good, but then there are other guys that are just great at it. And no matter what. And Carnell Tate seemed to be, at least in college, he seems to be one of those guys that's not something that was taught to him. That's just him being an athlete and enhancing this, working on those other things, which enhances his ability to be able to track those, over the shoulders, which are some of the hardest catches to make, or being able to go up and high point, a football. He understands that. And this is what I tried to get, bigger guys to understand. When you are 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", really like 6'3", 6'4", like, why are you playing to everybody else's level? Like, size-wise. I used to tell, like, the guys, like, dude, there shouldn't be a situation where you're not getting most of the jump balls. Or I shouldn't want to press you if you 6'2", 6'3". I shouldn't, because your physicality is going to get me every time. Or I'm like, just throw the ball up. I'm going to get it. At 6'3", so Tate seems to have that attitude of throw the ball up, I'm getting it. Why do you think Randy Moss is so good? Throw it up, I get it. Larry Fitzgerald, throw it up, I get it. Why? Because those guys knew how to go up and truly compete for football. They felt like you wasn't going to get it. If anybody's going to get it, it's going to be me. Why? Because not only am I, just better than you, I'm taller than you. So you have to use that to your advantage. And Carnell has used it to his advantage at Ohio State, especially last year.
One thing I'm wondering is how Carnell Tate can change the Titans' DNA. And I want to shout out friend of the show, Nick Suss of the Tennessean, for helping me out with this earlier today. Let me ask you guys this question. I was actually surprised by the number. How many completed passes of at least 20 yards did the Titans have in 2025?
Ooh, 20, maybe 5.
I don't want to cheat because you told me the answer this morning.
That's true.
You did share
I forgot
with me, and I did retain it.
Okay.
So.
The answer is 41. The Tennessee Titans had
41? Oh, I said 5.
20 or more yards,
yes,
right?
Of 41 completed passes of at least 20 yards.
Did they have that many?
But that really, there's 17 games. So that's only just over 2 per game.
Only 6 teams had fewer completed passes of at least 20 yards in 2025. The longest completed pass for the Tennessee Titans last season was 47 yards. And I believe that was the pass from Cam Ward to Calvin Ridley near the end of the Cardinals game, that wacky-ass Cardinals game, to set up the winning field goal. That was the longest passing play of the season last season, 47 yards. The Titans had 3 touchdowns on completed passes of at least 20 yards. Carnell Tate himself had 6 touchdown catches of at least 20 yards. And you saw the play on Tuesday, Cam Ward dialing it up for Carnell Tate. There was a lot of criticism about Carnell Tate because of his 40 time, but he got behind the defense, caught a long bomb from Cam Ward. It's been a while since we've seen the Titans do that consistently. The Titans haven't had a player who could do that since at least A.J. Brown, right? Unless I'm missing somebody obvious. That's how I think that how Carnell Tate himself can help change the Titans' DNA. That big play ability. As I said, I think on Tuesday, there's nothing in the NFL, I would say, that gets asses out of seats faster than a quarterback rearing back, throwing a bomb, and a wide receiver catching it in stride for a touchdown. And if Carnell Tate can provide that for Cam Ward, I think that would be a huge boost.
All right, let me ask it this way, Derek, because you've talked about Calvin Ridley as the guy that might be the best that they have of being a deep threat.
Yes.
So tell me how you differentiate a deep threat versus a guy who can get deep. Like, because I see Tate as what you hope is like an all-around guy who can see him as more than that. Whereas I see Ridley now at this stage of his career, more of a guy that you want to stretch the defense. You want to put pressure on the defense. Like, how would you use both?
Well, a guy that can get deep is just a guy that can run fast. That's it. And it's like, he may catch the football, he may not. A deep threat is now I'm putting pressure on the defense because they know that more times than not, I'm going to catch the ball and it's going to be a big play. Those guys are deep threat. A guy that thinks he can run fast but can't prove that, one, he knows how to, just because you're fast doesn't mean you're going to get open deep. You got to know how to run that post or that go route. It's not just running straight. You got to get on the hip of the DB or figure out which side he's on, and then you got to work his leverage. Sometimes you may beat off the line of scrimmage and you go, but you still got to work the leverage because you can't get pushed out of bounds. You got to squeeze back inside. But deep threat are guys that can get deep on any play and catch the football. Guys that just can get deep. You see those guys, they're runoff guys.
So how would you characterize Tate and Ridley in terms of what to expect? Like how many of these great highlight plays that Adam's envisioning to get everybody out of their seats? Are they going to be bombers, we think, or is it not time to get excited about that yet?
Just think of this. Ronaldo Nehemiah compared to Michael Irvin. Put Ronaldo Nehemiah next to Michael Irvin and tell both that's your X and that's your Z.
Okay, timeout.
Ronaldo Nehemiah is
he was an Olympic
track runner, but played
he was
for
a
the
hurdles
Rams.
guy, but he was
played for the LA
Rams.
Rams.
They signed him because he was fast.
This is going to age me. I'm sorry.
He's not
fast,
a football player.
But if you look at like a Jerry Rice, not a Jerry Rice, even Jerry Rice, he's a guy that he's not a burner, but he can beat you deep. And if you because his routes, everything with him is so clean. Everything looks the same. So he can beat you deep, short, anything. That was Jerry Rice or Michael Irvin. That's Carnell Tate. Ronaldo Nehemiah is Calvin Ridley. Send him deep. He can be your deep threat. Post, goes, deep crosses. It doesn't have to just be a deep, like a go. It could be deep crossers. It could be your deep end. It could be your post, your bang routes, stuff like that where he's going and it could potentially, you can catch the ball and run. Carnell Tate is Michael Irvin in a sense. Not that I'm not comparing him to Michael Irvin. What I'm saying is this. Mike can go deep. Mike can go short. Mike can catch the slant and take it 80. Mike can do all the things, as could Jerry Rice. That's what Carnell Tate is. He's the guy that can do everything. If you need him to go deep, he can go deep. If you need him to catch a 10-yard slant and take it 40, he can do those things. But with him, it's like this multifaceted player. With Ridley, I think he's graduated sort of to just being, our deep threat. Not to say he's not going to get, slants and all that other stuff, but he has to be the guy that helps, expand the field for the Titans along with Carnell Tate.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Carnell Tate. If you missed our interview with Carnell Tate from earlier today, we will post it ASAP if it hasn't already been posted by the industrious Connor Newt. 615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show. Football, quote unquote, is back tonight. And I don't think I can do it, guys. But we'll discuss it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5. The Game. No, you're not in the club. You're probably in your car. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, but it's hard not to dance.
Make my day.
The long wait is over.
Well done, D-Mace, on this.
Yes.
On this,
Outstanding.
keeping the flow.
Outstanding DJing by Derek Mason today. The wait is over for you football sickos out there. The Hall of Fame game is tonight, 7 p.m. on NBC. Kenny Pickett, starting for his 5th team in 4 years, and the Carolina Panthers versus Carson Beck in his unofficial NFL debut with the Arizona Cardinals. Panthers, Cardinals. I can't do it, guys.
You trying to hype it up?
I can't do
Panthers,
it.
Cardinals.
No.
8 Central.
Get it on.
Well, I'm reminded
NFL
of,
Network.
I believe it's been exactly a month since the U.S. men's national team was eliminated from the World Cup, because I specifically remember Adam Schefter in the wake of the loss tweeting 1 month from today with the graphic of the Hall of Fame game. And my first thought was, is that a threat?
So
Jeremiah Love apparently is not playing in the game. I mean, I love football as much as the next guy, but you can't get me to watch this. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. By the way, Carolina -1.5. If you bet on preseason games, I've heard Willie Donick say this. If you bet on preseason games,
just do a little self-check.
Call someone.
Yeah. That number that the guys say at the end of every commercial.
Yes.
Take note of it.
Yeah.
I know we are starved for quote unquote actual football. I mean, they will be playing a game, but even someone like me who is looking forward to real football again, you're not going to catch me watching the Panthers and Cardinals scrubs.
You know what?
On NBC tonight at 7 o'clock.
I just want to see the ball thrown around. So I'm going to have it on the background.
Okay.
I may not sit down and intently watch it, but it'll be on in the background. It ain't nothing like having a good football game on. You know?
Depends on
it's about time for it.
You're stretching the definition.
It's about
good.
time for it, Willie. And Adam, football, Hall of Fame game. The Hall of Famers that are being inducted, they're going to walk down, on the turf field. They're going to do all of that, whatever they do. So let's embrace it. Football is back, man.
Well, earlier we were talking about Will Levis, right? And hey, maybe Will Levis needs to find a way to become the next Sam Darnold or Mac Jones or name reclamation quarterback here. Kenny Pickett, the example of what happens when it doesn't stick.
Not yet. It hasn't happened yet for Kenny. Maybe tonight's the beginning.
Maybe tonight is the start of the Kenny Pickett journey.
Did they say
back to relevancy?
5th team in 4 years.
Back to relevancy. It started. We're going to be able to go back to the Hall of Fame
years for Kenny Pickett.
Come on, people. It's
he was
football.
drafted in 2022.
It's football, man. The Hall of Fame game. Don't get me. We've been starving for football. We have been.
Just don't gamble. Just don't gamble.
Yeah, just don't gamble on it. But you can't get excited about
it.
it.
You can watch it. Yeah.
Football on a Thursday.
I'm not going to watch it, but if
Football
you're excited about it,
Thursday?
watch it. That's good.
I mean,
just don't bet on it.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Please.
We beg you. It's a star-studded Hall of Fame class, however. Drew Brees, Roger Craig, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Adam Vinatieri. It's a solid group.
Craig finally got in. That's one. Now I wonder if what's the other guy's name? Willie that played running back with San Fran. Taylor. Is it Taylor?
Not Wendell Tyler.
No, not Wendell Tyler. The other lone.
Not Fred Taylor.
No, the running back that played
with
Craig? Philadelphia too. He played for the Eagles.
Ricky Waters.
Yeah, Ricky Waters.
Yeah. He was pretty close.
He was close. I don't think he had the numbers that Roger Craig had. Because Roger Craig was he was like one of the first true dual threat running backs. Catching out. He had 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing. That 1 year.
In the 1 year.
Yeah.
I do think he was sort of on the cutting edge of that. That said, I still was a little surprised he got in.
Yeah.
A little. But that, to me, strengthens your case.
Yeah, it does.
Like Roger Craig's in.
But they won Super Bowls, too.
That is probably – without that, he could have the same exact numbers and probably not get in.
Yeah.
I think he played for a real noteworthy
But
great
it took
team.
Charles
And
Haley a
that's
long
the-
time to get in.
And
too,
Waters
didn't
played on one of the Super Bowl teams, like the Steve Young Super Bowl.
Mhm.
He was really good. But like you think of those 49er teams that were there so often in the 80s, and Roger Craig was a
Craig.
big part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, just to get see those guys. Adam Vinatieri, you know, very seldom do you see. Well, this would be the second year in a row that a special teams guy's gotten in, isn't it? Because the returner got in last year. Was that the year before?
Hester?
Was it last year or the year before that Hester got in?
I can't remember.
But at least within the last 2 years, 3 years, there has been 2 special teams guy getting to the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, that helps out other special
On
teams
your
guys.
Pro Football Reference page, Derek Mason,
Mhm.
there is a section called Similar Players, players whose career was of similar quality and shape. For your career, here are
Shape.
your comparisons. Hines Ward,
Mhm.
DeAndre Hopkins,
Mhm.
Fred Biletnikoff,
Yes.
Yeah.
Keenan McCardell,
Mhm.
Anquan Bolden, Harold Jackson, Keenan Allen,
Mhm.
Charlie Joyner, Harold Carmichael, and Mike Evans.
Yeah. You can say, a few of those guys has an argument to be in the Hall of Fame if they're not already in.
Well, Biletnikoff
Biletnikoff obviously
is a Hall of
in,
Famer.
yes.
Charlie Joyner is a Hall of
Yes.
Famer. Harold Carmichael is a Hall of
Yes, he
Famer.
did get in. I forgot about Harold getting in. the
You
Hall
think
of Fame.
Mike Evans is going to be a Hall of Famer?
Yes, Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer.
You think DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of
I
Famer?
think DeAndre Hopkins is now. It may take him a while to get in.
Do you think Hines Ward is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, because Hines has made it to. He's made it further along in the process. A few times. So I think eventually, and
He's
he's
a two-time
Pittsburgh
Super Bowl
Steeler.
champion,
Yeah.
a Super Bowl MVP, and a 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, he'll get in. I mean, he's a Steeler too.
So what's going on up there in Canton?
I don't know.
Stop leaving
man.
Derek Mason out of it.
I'm just gonna have to do me a whole campaign one year.
We will do it for you.
I think it's easily explainable for a guy like Ward, or I would say Biletnikoff would be one. It's hard to compare Fred Biletnikoff because that's the 70s, but that was an iconic Raider team. So with a couple of those guys, the hardware, the Super Bowl rings
means a lot.
That was a big separator.
Mhm.
But some of these other guys, Harold Jackson and Harold Carmichael,
Mhm.
like Carmichael probably got a bump because he was so unique, big, tall guy, right?
Yeah.
He was
Hadn't
taller
seen a
than
guy like him.
nobody had ever
What,
been like that.
6'7"?
Yeah. But if you just look at the numbers, I'm going DMase.
Well, had we won the Super Bowl, I think there would have been, and I think a lot of people understand this and may have talked about it before, but I think there would be a bigger argument for individuals on that team had we won the Super Bowl.
One texter says, "Is it a terrible matchup? Absolutely. But football is my absolute favorite sport.
Here we go.
So bring it on. I'll definitely be
Absolutely.
watching, but I surely don't care who wins." Josh
That's what I'm
says,
talking
"What? I put $5 on the Panthers and the under. Could win $20." Josh, we
Did
appreciate
you.
you.
Just do that because we told you not to do it.
Before we go, speaking of starving,
Mhm.
I do want to make light of something that crossed my timeline during
Mhm.
the break. Apparently, it is a new fad on social media.
Mhm.
There's a debate going on about people dipping their McDonald's cheeseburgers in Coca-Cola.
Ugh, it's nasty.
Is this something that interests anybody?
I have a question.
The
Yes.
hamburger doesn't, nor does the soda.
Yes, Willie, you have a question.
Okay. Let's
Just think about it.
take the order of operations here.
Yes.
Cheeseburger in mouth, chase it with the Coke.
Bam.
No,
Okay.
I am watching a
Okay.
TikTok of a young woman taking her triple cheeseburger,
Right. And
dipping
it in.
not the whole thing, just the bite,
Right.
and then eating.
Okay, but tell me the difference in the order of operations. What is it about dipping it that's going to make it taste different in your
Mhm.
mouth than if you go the conventional way?
You
of
sog
take
up
a
the
bite,
bread.
then drink. You soak the bread?
Well,
Yeah.
the bread is already soaked in your mouth.
Right. So what's the that's my point. What's the difference?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Doesn't it funkify your Coke? I mean, aren't you going to get some stuff in there?
Exactly.
Well, any
ugh.
woman
You get a
getting
little
a
cheese in
triple
there, a little-
cheeseburger is a problem anyway. So.
Yeah. I can see if you was dipping it in some ice cream or something like that. Okay.
You ever dip fries in ice cream?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
That's good stuff.
That
People
is
do
you're
that.
supposed
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that.
yeah.
Yes.
Do either of you have any peculiar food habits, such as dipping cheeseburgers in Coke?
No, I mean I dip I fries and ice cream.
That's not peculiar.
Yeah,
That,
not too.
that's common.
I'm trying to think. Do I have some other quirks? Not really.
Do you put you ever put chocolate milk on cereal?
No, Willie.
No,
On chocolate cereal, yes.
no, the milk turns chocolate.
What if it's like
The milk
Cheerios?
turn chocolate
Cheerios.
anyway.
Like
No.
straight plain Cheerios?
No.
Chocolate
No.
milk.
No.
Oh,
That's
why
awful.
not? Oh, it's really good.
That's awful, man.
Why not?
Oh.
What's wrong with that?
Pass.
Yes, hard pass on that one.
Do you
Hard
like regular
pass.
Cheerios
Yes.
with just
regular
milk?
oat almond milk? Yeah.
Yeah, I go with oat milk.
I'm not talking about nutrition. I'm talking about
No.
taste.
Yeah,
Chocolate
no.
milk Cheerios.
No.
I recommend chocolate milk
No,
Cheerios.
Willie.
I'm
no,
going to try this now.
It's good.
No.
I want to
I
try
don't think
this.
anyone has ever raised their hand and say, I want chocolate milk Cheerios. No.
Nobody ever?
No.
Oh,
Not in my
okay.
high school
No,
or middle
I
school
feel
or
like
elementary.
Well, maybe I'm on the cutting edge then.
You're part
What
of
do
the
you
niche.
want, little Ricky? I want chocolate milk and Cheerios, please.
Sitting crisscross
Never
applesauce
say it.
watching He-Man on the TV.
Or like, another one would be like another plain type of cereal, like cornflakes or something. Or even
Chocolate
Raisin
milk,
Bran.
cornflakes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Raisin
even
Bran.
worse.
No, it's good.
I don't
Good.
know if this counts as peculiar. I know it's popular to dip grilled cheese sandwiches in tomato soup.
Yes.
If I don't have tomato
Yeah.
soup, I
I wouldn't say that's peculiar.
I'm with
I'm
you.
willing to use ketchup.
No.
Dip grilled cheese and ketchup?
Yes.
That's
no.
not
I'm
too
with you.
peculiar. There's a lot of
No.
people that do that. I'd
One
say.
texter says mustard on fries.
I've done the mustard on fries.
My
But
dad
I
does-
usually do the mustard and the mayo, whip it together, and then dip my fries in there.
My dad does pizza rolls and ketchup.
Pizza rolls and ketchup.
My son does steak and ketchup.
That's a no-no.
My son does steak
That's
and
a
ketchup.
Steak
no,
and
no.
ketchup?
Yeah, he does steak and ketchup.
As a kid, I always thought that was normal. I remember my aunt tell me one time, we were at a nice place, and she was like, God, I don't think the cook's gonna like that. I started laughing. I was like, oh, what are you talking about? No, she was like, seriously.
And
They
then,
don't really like
and then
when
the
the-
cook came out.
Yeah. The cook
Man,
had a-
let me eat
they
my meat
frown
the way I
upon that.
want to.
I was like, oh, I didn't
Give me
know.
some ketchup.
Can I get some steak sauce, I guess?
Just starts screaming at you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's right. Okay, I got another one. Grilled cheese with jelly on it.
What? No, Willie.
We've talked about this with BLTs. Like when people put more stuff on BLTs other than bacon, lettuce,
No,
and tomato.
And I have to say,
There has to be
it's-
some meat in there.
it wasn't no
some
meat.
sausage, like a sausage.
Straight grilled cheese,
No.
but with jam on the top.
Nah.
My dad's big into that.
Is it?
I tried it. I was like, oh, it's different.
Now, does he
I
also
liked it,
do?
but I didn't go to it. But
does he also do the sausage, egg, and jelly? Do you do
no,
that?
no. This would be just like a lunch sandwich. Just
Oh,
throw
man.
the jam on the top of the grilled cheese and
Oh,
roll.
Snaps.
I don't know.
I've never tried that.
I don't love it. One texter says chicken noodle soup over mashed potatoes. One texter says cheese curls and Miracle Whip. Been
What?
doing it since I was 8 and still love it from time to time.
Oh my goodness.
We're not talking cheese curds, right? We're talking cheese curls like cheese puffs, that sort of thing.
Disgusting regardless.
And Miracle Whip. Okay.
A Miracle
All
Whip.
right.
Yeah,
Oh, my
that's.
goodness.
I'm not gonna try that.
Yeah, that one I'm not gonna try.
Okay. Well, you
No.
know what? If you're on your way home and you want to dip your triple cheeseburger in a Coke, that's fine. I'll pass.
Exactly.
And then whatever you do, don't ask for a sip of that person's drink
Never.
because there's gonna be some chunky stuff in there.
Connor Newt, what's coming up on the 6th?
Parker Kelly's going to join the program. We're going to talk about practice today, some of the things we saw out there. Going to get into Will Levis because Will Levis, contrary to popular belief, is still Will Levis. So a lot coming up in the next hour.
All right. So do not touch that dial. Connor Newt and Parker Kelly will have the 6 for you for the next hour. We will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Chad Withrow will join the program. Brian Costello of the New York Post will join the program. He was in town earlier this week, had exclusive sit-downs with Robert Saleh and Brian Dable. So we will talk to Brian Costello about his conversations with those two men, Ask DMase as well. We'll get into all of it tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music? Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We're back on these airwaves talking Tennessee Titans and everything else NFL. Start at 3 p.m. on 102.5. The Game. Don't forget, keep the radio on this dial, because the 6 is coming up after this. And as I always say, we're going to be talking, and
You will be listening.
peace. I like saying the 6. 6 is coming on. I don't want to talk to y'all no more. I'm out of here. Yeah. You got a little hard. Adam, your bag.
Lunchbox.
All right, fella. I'll cut off all the lights, Tom.
Oh, it's okay. I can do it in the back cave.
All right, no problem, fellas. Y'all have a good one. Be safe.
See ya. What did he say?